please welcome Mark Halfinger, PCCW Global.
Good morning, everyone, and I understand that I'm the thing that stands in between you and lunch, so I'll try and make it either provocative or short, and we'll do our best. This is PCCW Global. I'll give you maybe just one or two slides to explain who we are, and then go into the discussion, which is really our view on softwarization of carriers and what needs to take place in an organization and what's shaping out. And then afterwards, perhaps a little bit of a commercial about some of the things that we're doing as a result of a recent acquisition. We're based in Hong Kong. We're the primary ICT provider there. We're number one in fixed and mobile, as well as in pay TV and the delivery of IT services in the Hong Kong and the Guangdong area. And recently, we've expanded as a pan-regional OTT video service provider. All of that takes place within the HKT and PCCW environments. PCCW Global, which is the unit that I'm responsible for, manages the international connectivity of the business. Over 5 billion minutes today, a tier 1 backbone that's globally distributed around the world quite excitedly, quite a large number of MPLS and NI relationships, a lot of transmission capability, and importantly, a lot of applicational capability that's involved in the business in security and digital solutions, UCaaS, media, and other spaces that we've been working on quite aggressively for the last 4 years. Our view of the world is really to look at solutions as things that perhaps are layered on top of the core infrastructure, but that we're able to deliver them in silos, but also in an integrated solution format, no matter what the case may be. And importantly, we're focused not just on delivering directly to enterprises, but particularly here in PTC, which is more of, I would say, a service provider community of various forms that visit. We're very focused on assuring that we can deliver things on a wholesale basis through the service provider to their own end users. Whoops, sorry, I pressed back. The discussion that we were supposed to talk about today has to deal with the softwarization of a carrier and where things are going. Today, every business, no matter where you see it, it can be even a bakery, is really moving into the digitalized space. Went for coffee in Australia recently, and they said, listen, no cash. Everything now is automated, everything is digitalized, the platforms, everything is immediate, everything needs to be happening, everything. Speed and agility are the drive words, if you will. How to integrate whatever's happening, quite critical. From a customer requirement, whether it be at the enterprise space, and that can be even a small SME, or it can be the large entities, it's about distributing applications, improving workload capability, and making sure that increasingly every service is delivered in an automated fashion. Recently, we've been doing some work in a separate body that I'm part of called the Global Leaders Forum, which is part of, it basically tries to assemble the key commercial decision makers amongst a large group of service providers worldwide. And we've been focusing on softwarization, and a book came out, and it's easy to download if you go to the GLF website, and you'll be able to see where we're headed from a thought process in terms of the drivers that are happening in the inter-carrier community. So a couple of slides from there. Automation, digitization, innovation, all of these things are important. And you can see on the right-hand side an issue there associated with what are the repetitive tasks that go on, and how can all of those be automated in a business, and whether the vertical is healthcare or automotive is one thing, but I think importantly for us, those of us who are in the carrier side of the ICT industry, quite frankly, we've been doing an enormous amount in a non-automated basis. Even though we're selling connectivity, we're selling the next generation, but frankly, our businesses have not been able to get there. So softwarization in any environment requires taking the vast amounts of data that we have, moving them forward, and making sure that the generation and collection of that data will be delivered intelligently, and providing value for service providers and ultimately also for their end users. And these are some of the areas that we're focused on, the 6 pillars that you can see here, and I'm sure you'll be able to download this presentation from the PTC website afterwards. Importantly, we see these 4 key priorities in the GLF, and that is a roadmap for retiring legacy networks in the bottom right-hand corner is one which we're very focused upon. We believe that very soon, if not already, quite frankly, routers themselves or any type of switch is going to be virtualized. We'll be able to deliver it with a software-capable component. How do we manage this process inside an organization? How do we manage the different approach to managing our business? And what are the commercial models to facilitate that, both in a siloed retail economic value, as well as in this environment that we see here at PTC, which is the interconnection amongst service providers of various shapes and forms. Virtualization and cloud-based applications, these are buzzwords that everyone's talking about it. But the key, I think, is that software and softwarization is at the core of a network, of an operation, and of the product strategy that one delivers. What we've tried to do is to automate many things. We've created automated portals in PCCW Global. We've created all sorts of capabilities. Even our pre-sales quoting capability is now online. You can take an API, and another service provider is able to access that information and deliver it. But portals are not necessarily platforms. It's a bit of a different approach, and one needs to understand that going into a portal and understanding what information you can retrieve is really not an ecosystem, a digital economic platform that would facilitate capabilities. And what you see over here is basically a move that we're seeing. Upwards, the software-based infrastructure, what's happening with that arrow is that this is happening at a tremendous pace. And the physical network infrastructure that we see on the right is continuing to expand. We're building more undersea cables than we've built in years. We're building more physical infrastructure than we've had. We've invested around the world in that capacity. And the question is, how does a physical service provider that deals in getting fiber and connectivity down into the local loop, as well as building an internet backbone globally, how do they focus also on assuring that the organization becomes more attuned to how software is supposed to drive a business, your own and that of your customers? And how do you also assure that you're able to deliver the connectivity with increasing capacity? Importantly, we believe that it's critical to create an enabling environment. For years, we had been dealing with the physical platform of NNI interconnects with over 150 interconnects worldwide, a lot of trading of traffic at the layer 2 and layer 3 level at the wholesale space amongst carriers, allowing service providers to facilitate their enterprise customers through our network and vice versa. A buy-sell, if you will, that was done relatively manually for many years, despite our efforts in certain silos to try and automate that environment. And the value creation that we saw associated with platforms and the economics of it are quite critical. But we've understood that really it's not moving fast enough. We were taking our organization and simply piecemeal adding to it some software capability to fix this or software capability to fix that. Recently, we acquired a company called Console Connect. This entity, based partially in Australia, partially in California, really is providing us the urge and the gusto, if you will, to reshape ourselves in the form of a digital economic platform. It's a business-critical applications and content move to the cloud. Enterprises need increased performance, predictability, and security. It's a buzzword, but buzzwords that we're involved with on a regular basis. We acquired software capability in the security space in 2014, and we've been building out that security operations center quite aggressively. We've been focusing also on all of the software applications that help assure that we're delivering the performance. But we weren't, as I said, integrating our organization and reshaping the way we tool everything. When we bought Console Connect, the main issue that spoke to most of the colleagues involved in doing the due diligence and making sure that we understood where things are was software plus network plus community. In today's online world, the community of dialogue that takes place online amongst engineers, amongst those who are providing service to their end users is quite critical. Having the physical network expanded as far as possible, whether it's sitting on boxes or migrating over time to virtualized capable environments, is also critical. But having the code that's able to put all of those pieces together is probably the key driver. But when telcos buy software-based companies, there's a tendency to effectively say, okay, let's integrate that software capability into the previous legacy environment. And that's why I put in parentheses here at the bottom, fueled by new organizational behavior. What we've done is we have, in the last 3 months since the acquisition, we have completely retooled our organizational environment. I think this is probably the key message that I wanted to deliver to colleagues here that may be from the service provider community. It's quite critical, actually, to reshape your organization. Our view has been that software and the people that deliver the software product have to help drive the decision-making for the physical network infrastructure. As a result, we acquired the software capability, we've aggregated and centralized all of that software-based behavior, but in addition, we've taken our entire IP backbone engineering team and we've placed them organizationally into the body that's building out the software. So that now the decision between physical infrastructure and software infrastructure is taken together. Harken back, if you will, for those of you who are fixed network providers or cellular providers, what happens when you go to fixed mobile convergence? Who's in charge? Is it the RF engineer or is it the fiber engineer? And how do decisions get taken together? That in and of itself is complicated in any telco. Certainly when you say the word infrastructure to someone who's IT, he's thinking of one thing, and we say infrastructure to someone who's in the physical network, he's thinking of something else. So it's very important to make sure that the dialogue is aggregate, that the dialogue is pushing organizations to the right way, and to understand that the software side, development, agile approach to how a business is continuously developed is really the driver of how things move today. And that's why I write, fueled by new organizational behavior, and I think that we've taken a huge step in that direction. With Console Connect, we can do various things, and you can see about it, most importantly, is we'll be moving a lot of the physical N&I relationships into the platform-based capable structure, and will allow the community to have dialogue with one another. If we have an interconnect with Telecom South Africa and an interconnect with Rostelecom in Russia, why do we need to be involved on a regular basis to have a connection from Russia to a connection from South Africa? Why not just provide the digital platform that these entities will be able to work in and amongst themselves in order to deliver service? And that's on the network-to-network side. Importantly, all of these connections and the capabilities, we've made it easy to use. The GUI is there, and the underlying millions of lines of code that facilitate it, are well developed and easily handled by an end user or by a service provider who wishes to facilitate their end user. Performance, availability, security, all of these issues are quite critical, and as I said, the community platform comes part and parcel with all of that environment. On the cloud side, and Console Connect, frankly, was built initially really just to provide cloud. It was meant even as a bypass of the IP backbone. Unusual for us since we operate a global IP backbone. Why take on a platform that's going to be bypassing that? And because that's sensible. That's what the enterprise wants. In fact, the team has put together this Cloud Nexus, which is a registered trademark of the environment, which allows service customers or service providers who are facilitating their customers to work with multiple clouds to create DR, disaster recovery, on an automated basis from one cloud to another, which is quite unusual, and we would argue that that's a bit of a first. And we're able to achieve true multi-hybrid cloud environments. For us who are involved both in the Western world and in China, that's quite critical. I think you'll know that if you're working with Tencent Cloud or with Ali Cloud, those involved in the China space, and certainly with the new regulatory environment there, the criticality of having hybrid cloud capability is really essential. So our approach to application providers who are working in various verticals in the SaaS capabilities, I think, will be quite important as we move to onboard as many of these into the platform, together with the telco and cloud players on the right, in order to create this global digital economic platform that will facilitate service providers, enterprise, vertical applications, and importantly, the multi-cloud environment as we see it.